Welcome to Strumming for Learning for the guitar. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to get started. So you might have an instrument at home that you just had lying around and you've never learned, or a family heirloom, and you can use that one for sure. Or if you do not have one, I'm going to go over a couple different sizes and types of strings for you, so you can go to a local music shop and look at the different sizes, different strings, hold the guitar, some things to think about before you purchase one, and then some other materials and supplies that you will need through your learning. So the first thing that we have is the how-to guide. It's free for you to download, and I highly recommend printing it out and putting it into a binder. I like to keep a binder with the plastic paper holders in it so that I can easily flip my fingers this way. My papers don't get stuck together. My own personal binder in my classroom has all my songs in it in the order that I sing them in class. I do not memorize all of my songs. I just don't have the capacity to memorize everything right now. So I leave my binder right next to my rocking chair, and when it's time for me to play, I open up to my first song, I lay this on the ground in front of me, and then I can look down at my chords when I get stuck. Highly recommend this. Again, this is just for your own preference if you are one of those people that like to have a paper form of things. This is also really nice because you can take it to and from work, and you could put your own personal songs that you're working on in the back, and then you have everything in one place. You're going to need a guitar, and there's lots of different sizes and options that you can choose from. You're going to have to pick an instrument that works for you and the environment you're going to use it. So I want you to sit for a second and think about, where are you going to use your guitar? Are you sitting in a rocking chair? Are you sitting on the floor in circle time? Are you imagining yourself standing up and playing? All those considerations come into play when you're thinking of the size of instrument to purchase. Because if you are sitting in a rocking chair, you're going to have arms in the rocking chair, and a full-size guitar may not fit, and that can make it very uncomfortable. So here's an example of a full-size guitar, and you'll see it takes up a lot of room, and I have an armrest on my couch here, and I have to move my whole body over in order to make it fit. That's something I want you to think about before you go get a full size. Now, there is a difference in sound according to the size of the guitar and the type of material it's made out of. The larger body of a full-size guitar is going to give you a deeper, louder sound. Here's an example. And then you have a smaller size that you can choose. This one is a 3/4 size. You could also get a travel size, which is definitely a smaller body, and the sound just isn't going to be quite as loud and as rich and deep, but it still sounds nice. And that's why it's important to consider the environment you're going to be playing in and the chair you're sitting in. This one isn't going to take up as much room. This one fits in my rocking chair with my armrests. I just scoot to the very edge of my chair when I go to play. Another consideration in your instrument is the type of strings. These two guitars are both acoustic steel string guitars. So they're gonna have a different sound than a nylon string classical guitar. This neck is shorter and a smaller 3/4 size or travel size. It's gonna be a little bit shorter and than the full size guitar, but there's still plenty of room for my fingers. I don't notice a big difference in that. And for the use of the classroom, I'm not a professional performer. I don't move all the way down the neck. I'm not doing super fancy songs. I'm doing pretty much the basics. So if that's what you're looking for, I highly recommend the 3/4 size or the travel size. Now, the steel strings kind of make that slippery sound that you hear in an acoustic guitar. Some people really like that sound. They are going to be a little more rough on your fingers. When you are doing chord shapes, you're pushing down on the strings and adding pressure to the tips of your fingers, and they can get a little bit tender. A nylon string guitar will be a little softer on your fingers. This, again, is a steel string acoustic. And then we have a classical guitar with nylon strings. So a classical guitar is going to be wider on the neck for you, so you do have a little bit more space horizontally for your fingers to fit to make the chord shapes. Same concept, same amount of strings. These are just made out of nylon instead of steel. So they're going to be a little more gentle to touch, a little smoother on your fingers. And it just has a different sound as well. So again, it's really important to go hold some different sizes, put your fingers on the strings, push against the strings onto the neck, even if you don't know a chord shape. Just see how well that feels, and you'll get your own preference also for the sound. When purchasing an instrument, another thing you want to look at is strap buttons. If you imagine yourself standing and playing, you're probably going to want a strap. Guitars are pretty big. It'd be very hard to hold that against your body and strum without a strap. So there's pins that can be already installed on your guitar. So this one has one pin at the bottom, but it does not have a pin at the top. Rather than changing the structure of the instrument, you just get a strap that has an additional attachment that slides underneath all the strings, and it doesn't affect the sound. It just attaches at the base of the headstock just above the nut. It's very comfortable to wear with a strap. Now, this one does not have two pins, but my other one here does, so I'll show you what that looks like. This one has a base pin, but it also has the pin at the top here. So rather than being attached up here, the angle for my strap is just going to be a little different, but it's still very comfortable. Just slide it over, and you'll see it's just attached at a different spot here, kind of displacing the weight a little bit differently. So those are all just things to consider when you're purchasing your guitar. So you will need a binder with the plastic sheets inside of it, if that's something you think would be beneficial for you. Your instrument, your guitar, you need to decide if you would like a full size, 3/4 size, travel size, and if you want steel strings or nylon strings. If you are left-handed, you need to decide, are you willing to learn right-handed, or do you need to purchase a left-handed instrument? Or do you just need to switch the strings to the opposite side? Then you need to have a strap if you think that you will be using one. When I first started learning, I used a strap all the time, even when I was sitting down, just so I could get comfortable with it. Again, it's a preference thing, and it's kind of fun because you can get something that speaks to your personality a little bit. So we have a binder with the plastic inserts, an instrument, a strap, and you're also going to need a tuner. You can purchase a clip-on tuner online or at a music shop. It clips onto the headstock here. Super easy to just keep on your instrument at all times or set aside in a spot you won't forget where it is. Clip-on tuner measures the vibrations in the headstock, so it tends to be a little bit more accurate. Or you can download a free tuning app for guitar, and then you can just use your phone, which picks up the sound around it. So your phone or device would just need to be near the sound hole for you to do your tuning that way. So we've got a binder with plastic inserts, your instrument. You need to decide if you want nylon or steel strings, if you want a classical size with the larger neck, or if you like the acoustic. You're going to need a strap and a tuner. An optional item that I would recommend is a footstool. I bought a pack of 2 online. They were not that expensive. And I found when I was playing the guitar on the couch, this is usually where I can do my practicing. My couch is pretty low to the ground, and I didn't have a chair that felt comfortable with my posture. So I found these footstools online. It came with 2, so I left one in my classroom and one at home. You can change the height of your foot so it raises your leg, so it's a little bit more comfortable when you're playing your instrument. I would consider this an optional purchase. I just found it a lot more comfortable to play with. The last thing you're gonna need, and again, this is optional, if you find that you would like to use a pick rather than your fingers when you're strumming, you can get a pack of picks. Sometimes when you purchase your strap, it comes with picks as well. There's different thicknesses of picks. If you are really confused, you don't know how to get started with a pick, I highly recommend going into your local music shop and telling them, I'm brand new to learning the guitar. What do you recommend? I got this pack almost 3 years ago, and I still have them sitting around if I ever want to use them. So those are some materials to get you started, and you'll need to have those with you every time you are playing so that you are prepared. And I highly recommend just finding a spot to keep everything together so that you can access it easily. Happy strumming!